Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and I accomplished something that took literally 6 years in the making. I started playing Hearthstone back in 2015 in January, around this time of year, and 6 years to the date, well, not exactly, but pretty much, we got 1,000 wins with every single class in the game. And I completed, as you can see here, on stream with Hunter. Hunter was actually the last one, not Demon Hunter. Hunter's been like my least played class in Hearthstone history because I'm not much of a guy that likes to go face, and Hunter likes to go face. I thought today we could go over every class and my favorite deck that I played the most for every class to get to this point, and just, you know, kind of reminisce about the history of Hearthstone, my favorite decks. And we've kind of done a video like this a little bit before, but it was like my favorite decks of all time, whereas this one we're going to go over my favorite deck from each class. So let's go from least play to most play, take a road down memory lane of my favorite decks from each class. So starting with Hunter, with exactly 1,000 wins as I hit yesterday, I really have not enjoyed a lot of Hunter archetypes. I completed it with Reno Hunter, which was pretty fun, but probably my favorite Hunter deck that I played was Recruit Hunter. This got popularized a little bit before like Death Rattle Hunter got popularized, but it was built around Seeping Oozling in Katrina, and basically you'd play Seeping Oozling, you would copy a battle cry from your deck, whether it be Katrina or Silver Vanguard, and then you would cheat out like Lich King, King Crush, cards like that. You had Play Dead to like activate it, you had Killiseth to buff your minions, and then of course you had your endgame Wingeon of Deathstalker Rexar to create infinite value. It was a pretty fun deck, a lot of mana cheating, a lot of random, but I definitely enjoyed it and was like the first deck I think I ever hit Legend playing Hunter with. I played that little of Hunter. My next most played class is Demon Hunter, 1,036 wins, so I played it a little bit since I got the amazing Illidan portrait, but you guys already know if you watch the channel, Soul Demon Hunter, definitely really enjoyed it. Kind of like an old school deck, burned base, board base. You got some lifesteal recently with like, I'm not highlighting the newest list, but you have like Il'gynoth now there. But when I played it, Il'gynoth, Blade of Lady wasn't around. Got rank 1 legend with this list exactly here. It was a lot of fun, and I really enjoy that deck and archetype today, and I'm definitely gonna go back to it now that I'm done playing Hunter. Next class for me is Paladin with 1,124 wins, and I really enjoyed anything Paladin. This is my most played archetype. It's what got me 500 Paladin wins and almost 1,000. I think I finished the deal with like hand buff, aggro, mech Paladin just to get it done. But yeah, anything Paladin, really cool. You play anything can happen. You resummon your key Murlocs and Old Murkai, War Leader, Bluegill, and you could tutor out some Murlocs with Finja, and you had to call the arms to get stuff out. This is a somewhat more recent list, but not like that modern. Timeout was in here to give you some time to stall out, but overall really cool. And you can see I even ran Uther in here just for the lifesteal weapon that you can now get for like 2 mana if you play Libram Paladin. Really fun deck, really sweet kind of combo deck, and didn't have the prismatic cheese. It was pretty, honest in terms of like a combo control deck back in the day. Next is Shaman at 1,216 wins. Again, not one of my more favorite classes. There's really no archetype that stands out to me that I really loved. I've enjoyed a little bit of Shutterwalk, but didn't play it a ton. The deck I played the most to get to 1,000 wins was Quest Shaman. You can see the list here. It's like, it was just a value-based deck. It's not the Murloc quest, it's the Battle Cry quest, and you just got a lot of lackeys, a lot of value. You reloaded with Shutterwalk. You could burn your opponent out with like Life Drinkers. You could run weaponized wafts for some reach, but overall, there just wasn't a ton I like about Shaman. There's very random class, very high rolling class, can be very aggressive, and just things that I generally don't gravitate to, hence why I just don't play a lot of Shaman. Next, we have Warlock at 1,967 wins, almost at 2K, and probably my most played archetype is the old school Q block before like Dark Pact was nerfed, before Possessed Lackey was nerfed. It was a really sweet deck. Cheat out big demons, you copy them with cubes, Taladrum, resummon them with Blood Reaver Gul'dan. You had Giants that you could cube as well. Just a really cool, crazy deck back in the day. The power level just seemed so extreme. This was from Kobolds, and yeah, I still play Q block here and there. It's still a viable deck to this day, but I just had a lot of fun playing it, and I definitely have to give an honorable mention out for Reno Lock. Really love some use of Reno Lock. I love Hand Lock, and I even played a good amount of Zoo back in the day when I was learning how to play the game. Warlock is just a really interesting class. I'm surprised I have only like 1,900 wins with the class. We have Rogue at 2,273 wins. I love me some Miracle Rogue. Old school Miracle Rogue, Gadgets and Auctioneer. I'm highlighting a list here where you could like resummon Shares and Corpse Flower, which is a really cool card. you had Arcane Giants, and you had some RNG in here with like Hallucination, but overall just a really sweet, fun deck. You can cheat some mana with your Auctioneer, make giant Edwins, all the usual, you know, old school rogue stuff. Not so much value generation, not so much going face, just a lot of cool stuff. Hell, we don't even have Leroy Shadowstep in here. It was just all about getting those big Auctioneer turns, and it was just so much fun. I miss this type of rogue archetype so much. Next, we have Priest. What? At 2,875 wins. Yes, the guy who hates Priest has almost 3,000 Priest wins, but I used to love playing Rizakis Priest back in the day before, you know, Raza was nerfed the first time. I just love this deck. I literally started an EU account just to get Legend again with this deck on that account, free to play. It was so much fun. It's like the ultimate combo deck. You could just do ridiculous stuff with like Radiant, Auctioneer, you had your Velen turns, and you didn't just have Polk out and win the game. You had to work for your combo, draw your deck, draw your cards, utilize your burn efficiently, and it was just a really enjoyable deck. It rewarded playing it really well, and it's just, I miss this style of Rizakis and not so much the Polk out, where you literally just draw your deck and win and play spawn, and you don't have to set up a Velen OTK. It's just play spawn and you win the game. Next, we have Warrior at 3,007 wins, and I love me some Control Warrior. Might bore the hell out of some people, but I love to be able to control the game and just outvalue my opponent, use all my resources perfectly, and I'm highlighting the Dr. Boom Mad Genius Elysiana list that got me rank 1 Legend like a couple years ago, year and a half ago, whatever. It was just the first time I ever did that, so it just always stand out to me. And you know, you just had your mech removal, you had all your big removal, like 2 owls. There was a lot of death rattles in the meta at the time, but Omega Devastator back then, it's still in standard, believe it or not, was just incredible. It would have rush, destroys everything. You could get a bunch more with like a Mega Assembly before that got nerfed with a discovery bonus. And yeah, just it was just a really sweet deck, a lot of good control. And I gotta give an honorable mention to Dead Man's Hand Warrior. I love some Dead Man's Hand, going infinite, whether it be wild versions, standard versions. I love that card. I love that infinite type of value where you get to like control what's in your deck, control what you're cycling, and just could allow for a lot of cool stuff. Next, we have Mage at 4,044 wins, and I would say probably like half of that is with Discover Mage or Gunther Mage. Cy Gunther was the pro that made this deck. It was like a mid-ranged value burn deck. It kind of reminds me of, this is what Soul Demon Hunter reminds me of to an extent, where you have some AoEs, you have some early game, you have some draw, and then you just, you know, you have your big value stuff. You have Medivh and like Firelands to just get a bunch of random minions. You have Cabal Courier for some value, you have Babbling Book, Glyph. There's a good amount of RNG in this deck, but it always felt within reason. It wasn't ridiculous infinite value. And the only probably really toxic card in here is Ice Block, because, you know, well, Ice Block is kind of just unfun, and 1 mana Mana Worm back then was pretty ridiculous. But I jammed Gunther Mage so much for so long across NA and EU that I got so addicted to this deck. I loved it, played it way too much, and it was my first top 100 Legend finish was playing this deck. It was the one deck that finally got me to really start playing competitively. And lastly, my most played class at 5,093 wins is Druid, and I'd say probably like 4,000 of those wins is the Malagos Druid, with countless and countless different builds. I'll highlight the first one I fell in love with, which was the Arcane Giant Yogg Saron Malagos Druid. You had Emperor in there, you have Reign of an Idol for some value, some random value. It wasn't an OTK deck, it was more like a mid-range burn deck. Again, you just play Bally and you try burn your opponent out a little bit, but it was really hard to set up an OTK because Malagos is usually gonna be like 8 mana and then you have some burn to go with it. But yeah, it was about burning your opponent out. If all else fails, just Yogg and hope for the best. Really sweet deck, but of course I got my wild versions I love with like Avion and Kuhn, or the Twig versions in standard a couple of years ago. There's just so many versions of Malagos Druid that I absolutely have loved, and is just like archetype I have played to death. So much that I have over 1,000 wins with Druid on EU as well, which I'm not even including in this total. So there you have it. That's my road to 1,000 wins with every single class. Let me know, like, how many classes do you have at 1,000 wins, and what are your favorite decks that got you to the 1,000 wins that you have? If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.